Good morning, everybody. Whether you say it back, it's still a good morning. Something that came to me in my moment of solitude this morning, which I've changed again, stacked again, experimenting with something for 6 months that I may share, but it's getting gnarly. The body only heals, right? There's no offense on this. There's no exceptions on this. That's our starting point. Our bodies only heal. For who? For us, in accordance to what? Our lives. Unique to our lives, which will never match anybody else's life. Therefore, nobody's body will ever respond the same way to anybody else's life as it does to yours. Everybody's going to have their own unique experience. So no offense, the body's not capable of healing. Only if you do these certain things. No, it just heals. It doesn't heal and adapt to some things. No, it just heals across the board. So what we end up saying most of the time is some of our most undesirable symptoms of healing are pain, inflammation, swelling. Let's just take those simply. And everybody's talking about those. Pain, inflammation, swelling, okay? And sometimes those are obvious to other people, right? But when you live from a place of body only healing and do the work to understand yourself and why your symptoms would be there, for you to then understand more about the meaning of your choices in your life and the meaning of your life and your place here, you become hyper aware, hypersensitized. You start to sense things well before it gets to a point that it's higher levels of undesirable. So then what you start seeing are symptoms come in many forms. Let me just share with you a couple of them. Symptoms can be, you once could just get out of a chair, no problem. Now you start using your arms to press yourself out, or you start making a noise to get out of the chair. Symptom of healing. Or your calf muscles, or a muscle in general, is tighter and uncomfortable for longer than 2 or 3 days. Okay? You start not wanting to drop on the ground or not wanting to do things on the ground. You start second guessing, picking things up. You have a gut feeling as you're sitting at the dinner table with somebody that you care about, but something's not being said. You have a feeling internally about a job you have or a career that no longer makes sense, and you have clientele that are trusting you. And you know that there's something that you're not saying or something that you're not seeing. A dream shows up. Again, there's all these levels of symptoms of healing. The body doesn't like using energy on these things because it costs. You only have so much to offer to so many different things. That's why it's very fucking serious and intentional around what you feel and what it gets your attention with. It's not wasted. It's not random. It's very, very, very important for you. And so I've said before, like the body will whisper before it yells kind of a thing. And then I saw in some culture, some icon guy, teacher, whatever, he equated the whispering as healing, but when the body yells, it's disease and illness. This is what's fucked up. It's not. The whispers and the yelling are healing across the board. You've been in loving relationships before. Has somebody yelled at you before because they loved you? Of course they have. Have you been an employee at a business where your boss yelled and instructed you because he cares about people and you more than his bottom line or her bottom line? Of course. Have you ever been in a relationship where there was yelling and elevated, amplified points being made from a place of love? Of course. Does it make it less loving because somebody was louder versus just writing a little note or tickling your arm and going, hey, I'd love to talk to you about something, or hey, it'd be great if you changed this? No, it's just across the board, one steady state. So whether your body is whispering or yelling, it's always healing. Usually the yelling is just, it needs that magnitude of your attention and relative that magnitude of changes and sacrifice in your life. You're going to have to feel something to that magnitude because the level of healing matches the level of threat or damage and matches the level of shit change and importance of change and depth of change. So, start to look around and see you'll start to notice symptoms of healing in many forms, in volume, and they're all for you. So it's kind of cool when you see it. It's like, oh, and then you take action on them. Now all of a sudden you're just seeing this way. It's like shit when you don't ignore any of it and you use it to your advantage and you use it for you and you don't waste it. And this is hard, but to even think that there's a future world where there's no illness, disease, or injury, and stopping that's preventing healing. That's preventing lessons. That's preventing guidance. That doesn't make any sense. That's the most inhuman thing we could ever state as a goal. We need those. So moving forward, there is no life that you have that's symptom-free or injury-free. None whatsoever, unless you aren't a human being. So drop that goal and drop that dream and drop that expectation, because that's impossible. And when you start to see that these things are for you, you start to see the different grades that are for you, and you start to see the love and support that's unconditional, and then you start to have this trust with yourself and you, and holy shit, because everything's about attacking self-love. Everything's about attacking the self. Have somebody distrust themselves, and you can do whatever the fuck you want to them. You can get them to do anything. You can manipulate them in any way. And every industry is there to attack the self. Don't have people believe and trust themselves, starting with their own body. Another symptom, not being able to stand on one leg for 3 minutes. Like, that's a big deal. There's symptoms of healing all over the place, and you start to use them. You start to access them and don't waste them, and then all of a sudden, holy shit, you start to see how wisdom plus ability plus time over it you are climbing and increasing as you get to experience more here, instead of this certain steady decline. So the body only heals, no exceptions. Symptoms come in more forms than pain, inflammation, swelling, the whispering and the yelling. It's all healing, it's all for you, and it's all love for you.